Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, we are from group 6. We will discuss the material about owner equity wealth. So, before we start the first material, let me introduce our group member. The first one is Nabila Alexa Fitri with the last ID number 086, Margaret Lily with the last ID number 384, Angelina Magdalena with the last ID number 408, Davna Febrianti with the last ID number 243, Dinda Nugraheni with the last ID number 006, and the last is the Rizia Revirestiasi with the last ID number 427. Okay, let's go to the first material about anthropological paradigm, which will be delivered by Nabila Alexa. To Nabila Alexa, time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the time moderator. Here I will explain about uh, two important is approach in research, the anthropological paradigm and the deductive paradigm. I will first explain the concept, theory, and method for each approach one by one. The first approach is the anthropological paradigm. Okay, the anthropological paradigm is a qualitative approach that focuses on understanding human behavior, culture, and social practice through deep observation and participation. This paradigm emphasizes the importance of context and meaning, which can only be fully understood by immersing oneself in the culture being studied. Research using this approach often spend extended period in the field to gain an insider perspective on the community they are studying. Next slide. In terms of its theory, the anthropological paradigm is primarily influenced by concepts like cultural relativism, introduced by Franz Busch, which argues the all culture should be understood based on their own values and practice, without imposing external judgment. Another influential theory is Clifford Geertz symbolic anthropology, which sees culture as a complex system of symbols and emphasizes the need to interpret these symbols to understand the behavior and meaning within a society. Lastly, there is the theory of ethnomethodology, which looks at how individuals make sense of their everyday interaction and share culture norms. Next slide. When it comes to method, the anthropological paradigm relies on technique like ethnography, where research immerse themselves in the community to observe and participate in their daily activities. Another important method is participant observation, which involves actively engaging with the community while observing their behaviors. In-depth interview are also commonly used, allowing research to gather personal stories and experience that provide deeper insights into the culture. Additionally, research often takes extensive field notes to document their observations, which are later analyzed to uncover culture patterns. Okay, next slide. The second approach is the deductive approach. The deductive or the approach of paradigm is a quantitative research method that begins with a general theory or hypothesis and does it using specific data. This approach is grounded in the idea of objective and is often used in scientific research to verify or falsify hypotheses through data collection and analysis. The deductive paradigm is structured aiming to confirm or disprove a theory based on empirical evidence. Next slide. In terms of its theories, the deductive approach is rooted in logical positive, which hold that knowledge is derived from observable and verifiable fact. Another key theory is the hypothetical-deductible model, where research formulates a hypothesis based on existing theory, then collect data to test in validity. Additionally, behavior theory often use the deductive method to explore cause and effect relationship between different variables in a control. Okay, next slide. For its method, the deductive approach primarily utilizes structured surveys to gather data on specific variable, which can then be analyzed statistically. Experiments are another method frequently used where research manipulative variable in a control environment to observe their effect. Hypothesis slicing is central to this approach, where data is collected and analyzed to either support or refute the initial hypothesis. Lastly, statistically analysis is used to identify relationship between variable and test the result of the research. Okay, that's all from me for this part of the presentation. Now I will pass the floor to my partner who will continue with the next part.
Okay, so I'm gonna explain about the true income or deductive paradigm. So this approach focuses on calculating ideal income through logical reasoning and conceptual rigor, offering an alternative to traditional historical cost accounting. And this paradigm uses deductive approach, which means it starts from theory, principle, and logical reasoning rather than practice or observation. The goal is to construct an accounting theory that is conceptually consistent and normative, aiming to represent what we call true income, not just recorded income based on past transactions. It challenged the historical cost method, arguing that it doesn't reflect the real economic value. One of the key figures, McNeil, argued that profit is simply the increased net worth. According to him, this is straightforward, logical, and mathematically provable definition. Likewise, Alexander supported the idea of ideal income, which is not necessarily based on past costs, but more accurate, reflective of economic reality. From this paradigm, 5 main theories or models has emerged as alternative to historical cost accounting. The first one is price level adjusted accounting, which adjusts for inflation and change in purchasing power. The second one is replacement cost accounting, which records assets based on their current replacement cost. And the third one is the retrieval value accounting, which considers the value lost if an asset were no longer available. And the next is continuously contemporary accounting, which based on net realizable value. And the last one is present value accounting, which uses the present value of expected future cash flows. This paradigm relies heavily on analytical and deductive reasoning. The supporter of this view usually start from objective and environmental assumption and then develop the appropriate accounting methods. Their focus is on valuing assets in more realistic way and determining income that truly reflect increase or decrease in wealth.
Okay, now I will explain the next material about decision model. The first one is definition of decision model. A decision model is a framework or system used to assist in decision-making process. This model simplifies reality to decision can be more systematic, rational, and based on relevant data or information. Next, example of frequently used decision model. The first one is SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is a model used to evaluate strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats in a situation in order to determine an appropriate strategy. The second one, cost-benefit analysis. CBA compares the benefit and cost of a decision to assess in financial viability. Third, decision tree. Decision tree presents choice in the form of branching diagram, helping to visualize the impact of each decision and choose the best opinion. Fourth, linear programming. Linear programming is used to optimize outcomes such as profit or efficiency, taking into account the limited research available. Next slide. Now I will explain about the use of decision model. The first, identify the problem clearly. Help to organize the problem and goals to be achieved, so as not to be misguided in making decision. Second, formulation of alternative choice. Provide several solution options that can be compared with each other. Third, risk and benefit analysis. Allow decision makers to assess the consequences of alternative both quantitatively or numbers and qualitatively. Fourth, rational decision making. Decisions are based on data, logic, and predicted outcomes, not just intuition. The last one, evaluation and feedback. After the decision is carried out, this model is also useful for assessing whether the results are expected and becomes the basis for future improvement. That's all the material from me. The next material will be explained by my friend.
The usefulness of decision making. Decision making plays an essential role as it serves as the foundation for choosing the right actions. It helps entities or individuals in selecting the best alternative and evaluating the outcomes of the choice. The key use of decision making include: first, resource management. Good decision making enables a company to manage its resources, such as capital, labor, and assets, more efficiently and effectively. Second, performance evaluation. Accurate decision assists in measuring and assessing both financial and operational performance, which can lead to improvements or necessary adjustments. Third, financial planning. Decisions are used to plan both short-term and long-term financial strategies, including investment, business expansion, and risk management. Fourth, compliance with accounting policies and standards. The choice of accounting methods, such as depreciation or revenue recognition, is influenced by decisions which must align with applicable accounting standards and regulations. Okay, there are decision makers. Decision makers are individuals or groups who have the authority to make strategic decisions related to financial reporting, fund management, and accounting policies. They may include: first, top management, example CEO or CFO; second, financial managers; third, internal accountants; fourth, external auditors. Their roles and responsibilities include: the first, selecting accounting policies, for example, determining whether the company uses a cash or accrual basis for recording financial transactions. Second, financial monitoring and control, ensuring that cash flows and financial operations align with the organization's goals and preset budgets. Third, investment decision making, evaluating whether a project or investment is viable based on financial report analysis and profit projections. And the last, preparing financial statements, responsible for creating accurate financial reports that can be used by stakeholders such as investors, creditors, or regulatory authorities. Aggregate and individual market behavior. Understanding market behavior is crucial because market conditions influence accounting policies and business decision making. The first topic is aggregate market behavior. Refers to the overall market conditions, macro level, including supply and demand. Factors such as inflation, interest rates, or global economic crisis can affect company decisions, such as adjusting products' prices, changing revenue recognition methods, modifying estimates for depreciation, or uncollectible receivables. Okay, the second topic is individual market behavior. Focuses on the behavior and decision of specific entities or individuals. For example, SMAs, small and medium enterprises, often make decisions based on internal financial conditions, short-term business goals, and the last, personal preferences of the owner or manager. This can influence cost policies, marketing strategies, or the types of investment made.
The next material is Information and Economics Paradigm in Accounting. The information and economics paradigm views information as an economic commodity. Its main focus is how accounting information can enhance the equality of economic decision making through cost-benefit consideration. This paradigm is rooted in statistical decision theory, economic choice theory, and team theory. Key figures and measures works. First, Feltham developed a framework to evaluate the value of information system in improving decision outcomes. 2. Randall introduced the applied information economics approach that integrates all components of information system into accounting design. 3. Feltham and Dembski present a model to evaluate information as a sequential process assessing the relative benefits of an information system. Next is supporting theories. First, the theories of terms are Marshall and Ratner. 2. Statistical decision theory. And 3. Economic theory of choice. Next, methodologies used. First, rational analysis based on statistics and economics. Second, Bayesian revision analysis. Three, cost benefit approach in accounting policy evaluation. And the last one assumes rational and consistent behavior. That's all from me. Thank you. Next, key components of information system in this paradigm. Information systems are viewed not just as data transmitters, but as a part of the rational economic decision-making process. Therefore, they are analyzed through the following key components. First, set of action. These are the decision options available to maker during a given period. Example include buying or selling assets, choosing the business strategy, or deciding of an of investment. Second, payoff function. This function shows the economic outcome of or consequence of each action taken based on the state of the world. It is used to evaluate how beneficial an action is under uncertainty. Third, probabilistic relationship between events. This reflects that there is a probabilistic relationship between past and future events. The information system helps estimate the likelihood of possible outcomes. Fourth, signals from the information system. These are indicators or outputs such as financial reports, ratio, or trends that reflects the condition of the business environment and help decision makers reverse expectations. And the last one, the decision rules. These are strategies or guidelines used by decision makers to choose and the best action based on signal research. They often involve updating beliefs. Example through Bayesian revision to maximize expect payoff. Next, image of the subject matter. First, information is a scarce resource that must be obtained and used optimally. Second, information system selection is based on expert utility. And the last one, at the individual level, information influence action after probability revision for signals.
Okay, that's all material that our group can deliver. See you later.